Tell us about Brain Love.
Well, man, again, my name is Archie Clay III, founder and CEO of Brain Love. Brain Love is a luxury apparel and accessories company focused on changing the narrative around mental health and wellness within our communities and the world. Um, the thought process was always to merge high-end fashion, right, with feeling, right, being able to feel and have that embodiment of that product, but also align to the impact that we want to have in the world. We believe that brands have so much power and influence in the world, and we want to be a brand that has that influence, but more importantly, making impact and like pouring back into the community as well.
Amazing. And as we speak to different kinds of people from the show in our personal lives, we talk a lot with visual artists and hip hop and other entertainment artists that talk about how they express themselves through their art. And I love the fact that you've taken sort of, I think, a little bit of a different bent, if you will, by looking at fashion as art expression and as a connection to something bigger and something cerebral. And that's pretty cool,
I
actually is.
appreciate it. I
And I
appreciate it.
also shout out to our mutual friend Jen Libby who connected us.
For sure.
Woo-hoo. Because it just seemed like a slam dunk in what you're trying to do and getting sort of let's just say the fashion as a door opener, and then obviously people who know me know that I also love fashion a
What's up?
lot, and also because I've been all different sizes. So in fairness, there's a time when you want to feel good, whatever size, shape you are, and whatever you way you like to express yourself through
Right.
fashion. It's sort of a way to dress for this life, right? So I love the fact that you're kind of combining things that maybe other people wouldn't think go together, but then they feel like a really natural expression. And I know in post, we're going to try and show some examples of the clothing for the viewers as well. But I would love for you to talk me through a little bit around how do you create a piece of fashion that represents what, all of these things together?
Well, I think first and foremost, it kind of goes back into the perspective in the mind, right? I think for me, when I first created the company, we created a company last year. So this is our 1 year anniversary. September 28th is actually our actual official date of
Oh,
anniversary.
nice.
So,
Almost
super,
happy
yeah,
anniversary.
super excited to, be in this position and, moving pretty quickly as far as how we're scaling and how we're getting the brand out to the world. But I think it honestly starts with my personal feeling of what I wanted people to feel. Um, Not just with the brand, but with the first collection. So the first collection was called Love You. It was all centered around loving who you are, loving yourself first. Because kind of take a step back. I'm sure we're going to go into this, but had some things happen where I kind of had to connect back to myself and my spiritual side. And I think that in order to find that balance within oneself, you have to come back to yourself, right? And be connected to something higher so that you can still find that confidence in yourself to be more, right? So how we design, man, is all about feeling, right? We want the consumer or the customer to feel that energy when they touch the product or when they read the back of the shirt or when they're connected to it, right? And it's what fashion is, regardless of how much impact you want to make, people want to see cool things. They want to see something that's high quality, right? Before they even understand the story, right? So for us, it was making sure that that first glimpse of the product, it connects you to it, right? From the details of the pricing tag to the inside of the garment to the back of the garment to the textures of the garment. You know what I mean? So we are really connected to the experience of how you feel when you touch it and see it for the first time.
Yeah, so that's a lot of layers. So there's like the visual stimulus, the visceral feeling of it, the messaging, the aesthetic, the actual fit of the clothing on the
Right.
body, like all those layers. You're taking all of that into consideration and then having conversations. Can you tell me in terms of that first collection and loving yourself, um, what can you get a little granular about how that idea, sorry, comes through into an actual design element? Like, just as,
Right.
pick one example maybe that you feel strongly about.
Right. So when I first, so I have a designer. We both kind of have like brainstorming sessions. So we sit down, we have a conversation. I kind of have an ideal in my head of what I want the consumer to feel, but also how I'm feeling too. Right. Um, it's important to understand that in order for us to create the foundation or bridge off of the foundation is to have one love within self, right? So when we first started creating that collection, it was like, man, how do I want people to feel? Right? I want people to feel confident in themselves. I want people to feel that we care about them. right? This shirt represents this. So when you look at the back of the shirt, you see, you gotta see the picture. You'll see that it starts off saying that this shirt represents XYZ, right? And we want people to feel that energy, right? Before you even understand our social impact and all this love that we have on mental health and everything, like we want you to feel that when you see the shirt or the hoodie or the hat for the first time. Even this hat, right? I got my head. It's called the brilliance hat, right? So it represents you being brilliant in yourself, that we are all brilliant in our own ways, right? There's all different ways to be the best version of yourself, right? Brilliant is not just being super smart. It's about how you grow and how you evolve and how you push yourself forward, right? So for us, it's like it's taking these terminologies that we've been taught, but some terminology have been taught to represent a certain individual or a certain thought process, right? I think we could go beyond these things at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And be focused and be pushed further. You know what I mean? So for us, when it comes to design and creating that collection, it's like how do we push it forward from a thought process perspective?
I love that. And so, like the word brilliance, for example, right? So, bright is really brightness, right? And brightness doesn't necessarily mean you're a whiz at calculus.
Right.
Uh, it can be something of how you just shine your light onto other people and for yourself, right? I'm
Right.
just paraphrasing, but yeah,
Oh,
that's
that
really
was
great.
perfect. Perfect. And to add to that, it's like there isn't just one thing that represents one thing. You know what I mean? Like two things can be true, right? You know what I mean? That you can be super smart and you might not be the best person. You know what I mean? So that's just life in general. So like once we understand that we can do more, like we can push more, right? We can impact more. We can do things outside the box. Like that's the representation of what brainlet represents, is that we're taking something from like a luxury thought process. Because you hear people from the luxury fashion industry say that, hey, you can't be luxury with a price point of $200. Like why can you not? Who created that? Like there's always disruption, there's always perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, if I can create the best quality material that's in competition with a Louis Vuitton, I'm just pricing mine lower than yours. That doesn't mean that my quality is not better than yours.